instead of being in the allotment today, we're in the garden. So I thought I'd give you a little look round. The flowers have been a bit battered by the weather over the last few days. The heavy rains flattened quite a few things, but that's how it goes. So we'll start off on the patio. One of the things that's quite surprised me this year is just how big these zinnias have grown. I put 1 or 2 zinnias in this pot that were left when I planted them up in the garden and on the allotment, but I didn't expect them to grow quite as big as this. There's also a couple of ageratums in there too, which have also grown quite tall. Got some heathers, and some begonias. This one's an agrianthemum which needs a little bit of deadheading. At the back we've got a sarcococca, if I've said that right. Some mimulus that have had a bit of a battering from the rain, as have the violas. It's just a loose flag, and another heather there, and a little hebe. Here we've got another begonia, this time with green leaves, and our agapanthus. It's another wobbly flag, and then another pot of mimulus there that's had a bit of a battering. The hostas are just about going over now, they have been on flower. This one seems to have suffered the ravages of slugs on this side, but the other side nearest to the pond is fine. Don't know if you can see that over there, but the fern, that's an old tree fern stump that I've planted another fern right in the middle of. We've got a pebble garden. Flowers are going over in this at the minute. Oops. Then we've got the bird bath bed. Just planted some impatiens, busy lizzies and some pansies in here. Don't know whether we'll do that in future, but it seems to have worked okay. Got a couple of astilbes at the back. And ferns around the bird bath. Quite like the moisture that they get when the birds are splashing about. And just take you down here. Those are all our hellebores, which look quite nice at the beginning of the year. And then here we've got our main, well, one of our main bird feeding areas. Got the bird table and some hanging feeders, which have got the cover from the sparrowhawk under the magnolia tree, and also we can see them from the house window really clearly. Go up the path. That's sort of a lid that covers the pond filter, which I put some sempervivans and sedums in. And then this is the bed that we sorted out this year. We've got some self-sown sunflowers which have come from the excuse me, the bird table nearby. Just letting them grow to see what happens. Little wander down here. Some of the flowers now have gone over. Cosmos has gone quite tall. Some flowers right up at the top there. A nice rose that we transplanted down there. We didn't know whether it would take or not, but it has done. I'll put the names of some of these at the bottom because I can't keep them in my head as we're wandering round. That's where all the primroses that I planted are. Bluebells and snowdrops have disappeared now. Clematis has been on flower, but that's over now. Another plant that's been battered by the rain. And just a few flowers of the Margaret Merrill rose. Anemone. What have we got down here? Self-sown cyclamen. Seems a bit early for that to be flowering. Can hardly see the water in the the puddle pond. And that's one of our other bird feeders. Quite a nice astilbe. It's a new one this year. The dicentra grows in this area at early spring, and we found that when the dicentra died back, we had some sort of big gaps. So we've planted an aster and a primula in there to try and come after the dicentra. Whether it works or not, I don't know. Under the medlar. The lupins are going over now. Alchemilla always looks good with raindrops on the leaves. Now this area is the next area that we're renovating. The shrubs that were here have been cut right back. We need to sift through now and decide what we're keeping and what's going. So we're doing all up here next. This is a cold frame area. There's a cucumber in there. Loads of apples. It's absolutely dripping with apples. Just hope they don't land on the glass and break everything. Keep herbs in this area too. And the cucumber under there. There's a rose here that needs cutting back. It's a fig. Don't think it's got any figs this year. I think we need to cut this back as well. It's getting a bit too spread out. Sage. This is some garlic. I don't know whether it's ready for picking or not yet, for pulling up. Fuchsias coming out. That's a little variegated Alstromera that Roger Brooke gave to me. I think it's growing alright. There's some little shoots there. Sweet peas, which have all been picked over. Some pots of rosemary down there. And at this side we have our fernery. Passion flower. And we've put a couple of large pots outside the greenhouse entrance. So there's some agrianthemum in there. There's some petunia, there's some busy lizzies and a salvia. Again, there's been a bit of battering by the wind. And Gary has got some catkins already. Something's crawling up my arm. That's our bird sown Daphne, which is quite large now. Clematis is on flower. This is another area that's getting a bit overgrown actually. Birds left a little present. This is supposed to be a white and blue bed, but it seems to have got lost somewhere along the way. Just going to have to prune this acer to give a little bit of light under the canopy. There's quite a lot needs doing there. And this is our red and yellow area. Not much yellow at the moment. Camellias need a good cut back, but we couldn't do it earlier because we had birds nesting in both of them, both the large one and this smaller one. It's our small pebble bed. Sure, that is. Watercress nearly ready for picking. Passion flowers making its way up into the crabapple tree. Can you hear our nemesis, the wood pigeon? Well, that's the end of our garden tour. Hope you enjoyed it. It's funny how when you're filming you notice things that you don't normally notice. And I noticed that the passion flower here was taking over the chairs. So before I did this little bit, I just pulled them off and tidied it up a little bit. Looks as though the fish think I'm going to feed them because I'm here. So I better go. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.